This is Beyond the Veil with Norman Meredith.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Norman coming from Pickens, South Carolina with another episode of Beyond the Veil. This is episode 45, and we're going to talk about the mythological little people. Yes, little people. We're not talking about short people or what people may call midgets or dwarves or something like that. We're going to talk about the little people that go by a variety of different names. During World War II, they're known as gremlins that cause mischief and mayhem. Sometimes they're known as leprechauns, imps. What's that other word? I can't think of the name of it. But we're going to go on and talk a little bit about little people. And this is a very fascinating subject because Nolan, who we talked with earlier this year, was telling me some stories about little people that were around this site that he was working on up in North Carolina. And apparently they were part of the ecosystem up there. And that'll be for another episode. We'll see if we can get him back and we'll talk about little people with him. All right, let's talk about little people. Little people have been part of the folklore of many cultures in human history, including Ireland, leprechauns, Greece, the Philippines, the Hawaiian Islands, New Zealand, the Faroe Islands, Indonesia, and Native America. All right, in Native American folklore, the Native peoples of North America told legends of a race of little people who lived in the woods near sandy hills and sometimes near rocks located along large bodies of water, such as the Great Lakes. Often described as hairy-faced dwarfs in stories, petroglyph illustrations show them with horns on their heads and traveling in groups of 5 to 7 per canoe. Now, how Morningstar lost her fish from stories the Iroquois tell their children by Mabel Powers, native legends often talk how little people playing pranks on people, such as singing and then hiding when an inquisitive person searches for the music. It is often said that the little people loved children and would take them away from bad or abusive parents, or if the child was without parents and left in the woods for fend for themselves. Now, this is a common story about fairies that you would find coming from the old country of Ireland. Fairies were known to do this, that they would take children that were being abused or left in the woods. You know, fairies did this. This is a common theme with fairies in Ireland and apparently also with Native American folklore. All right, going on. Now, Ed, as we talk, just randomly just show up some of the pictures that we have here for our viewers today, if you don't mind, sir. Other legends say that the little people, now this is not a picture, this is an actual skeleton of a supposed little person found by the Japanese. It was found mummified. I forget where in Japan it was discovered, but they went ahead, did x-rays and everything else, and then put it up on the side. And this is reputedly a little person that was found and was mummified. All right, going on. Other legends say that little people, if seen by an adult, would beg them not to say anything of their existence and would rather reward those who kept their word by helping them and their family out in times of need. From tribe to tribe, there are variations of what little people's mannerisms were like and whether they were good or evil or maybe different. Now, that would be something like a Bogart. Now, a Bogart is something that did good things sometimes for people. And there's, what is that? Before Girl Scouts become Girl Scouts, there's, brownies, that's it. Now, there's also brownies are known as a form of little people that were helpers around the home. Now, that's also part of the North American legend. Thanks for bringing me up on that, Ed. You know, and a brownie is similar to a Bogart. Okay, and that's another form of little people that's part of a North American legend. And if you ever ask a brownie about their legends or the myth behind being a brownie's a helper. All right. Okay. One of the common beliefs is that the little people create distractions that cause mischief. They were believed to be gods by some. One North American native tribe believed that they lived in nearby caves. These caves were never entered for fear of disturbing the little people. Now this one is more of like the fairy folk that you would see living under the trees. I'm sorry the picture's kind of rough, but this is something that you would see in England, Europe, Germany, France, where the fairies, these type of fairies lived under trees. They were out and about a little bit. They did mischief and mayhem, and sometimes they did acts of goodness. And the way to dispel the fairy was sprinkling either iron dust or using iron type weapons against them to slay them. Yeah. So iron was their bane. Legends of physical remains of tiny people have been found in various locations in the western United States, particularly Montana and Wyoming. Typically describe the remains as being found in caves with various details such as descriptions that they were perfectly formed, dwarf size, etc. Often an effort to enhance credibility, archaeologist Lawrence L. I'm going to say this probably wrong, Laurendorf notes that some tales claims that the burials, of course, are always sent to a local university or to the Smithsonian for analysis, only have both the specimens and research results disappear. Now, the Smithsonian is great about making things disappear that they don't want you to know about. They've made giants disappear. They have supposedly made an Egyptian-like culture in the Grand Canyon disappear. There was a series of tombs, statues, the whole 9 yards that was Egyptian themed. I'm going to use Egyptian themed because we do not have the evidence, because it was allegedly destroyed by whom? The Smithsonian. Okay? It was destroyed, picked up, hidden away. And that'll be for another story. Okay? But that's, Smithsonian is apparently being controlled by another party that we don't know about. And that may be the mysterious group known as the Illuminati. And that's a conspiracy theory, I know, yes. But we'll bring it up and maybe talk about it. I try to stay away from conspiracy stuffs, but we might discuss it, okay? And if I can get William on here, he'll probably love to talk about that. All right. Laurendorf often suggests the discovery of 2 mummies of ancephalic infants in the first half of the 20th century with deformities that caused some people to believe they were adults has contributed to public belief in the existence of a group of tiny prehistoric people. Excuse my butchering it. Now, if y'all been following the news in the last 10, 15 years, they discovered a race of hobbit-like humans in Indonesia. They were discovered in a cave. So yes, the proof of a smaller, dwarf-like, or even hobbit-sized people did exist. And get this, folks, they were cave dwellers. They were found living in caves. I can't tell you why, but that's where they were. Now, if you look at this young fella here, he looks like, what's the name of that fellow from, oh Lord, I can't think of the name. The Wizard, Harry Potter series. Nabi, something like that. Yeah, he was a little person per se, cast magic and stuff. Dobby, I think it was. Dobby. All right. Well, going on, Lewis and Clark reported in their journals that Native Americans in the vicinity of Spirit Mound, South Dakota, held a belief in little people who inhabited the mound. Clark wrote that the local Native Americans could not be persuaded to approach the mound as they feared these tiny devils, as they called them, and considered them to be dangerous. All 3 members of Lewis and Clark's party visited the mound, did not encounter any unusual beings. Now, this young little person here is from the Alaskan Native mythology. Unfortunately, I don't have a name for him, but he was supposed to be a little person that did good deeds, and depending on if you're a bad person, well, you can imagine what he did. He just helped out the Alaskans in their day-to-day life, helped out children if they were missing or needed help, and same thing with the rest of the lore. If they're in an abusive family or lost, they took them in. A graveyard was once unearthed in the 1830s in Coscuton County, Ohio. Was believed to contain skeletons belonging to a pygmy race. In fact, the graves, which was roughly 3 feet long, were bone burials containing discarculated or bent bones packed together. Yeah. Now, the Native Americans had a few different names for the little people, and I'm going to attempt to say them, so please forgive me. Alux or Maya, Canatola for Lakota, Chanakeek from the Aztec. Oh Lord, I don't know if I can do this one. Golod Moses Egg from Malthik, Joga for the Iroquois, Manigish from the Cree. Forget it, I'm not even going to try this one. There's no freaking way. Another one from the Nemagar from the Shohan, Nemabi from the Crow, Hataksaw from the Chickasaw, Bhopal from Choctaw, Pukwudgie, that's easy, got it, from the Wampapog, you can't say that one, Yanawa Tusandi from Cherokee. Like I said, I ain't the world's best, people. Native Americans, little people, have been said to reside in the Pryor Mountains of Montana and Wyoming. The Pryors are famous for their fairy rings and strange happenings. Some members of the Crow tribe consider the little people to be sacred ancestors and require leaving an offering for them upon entering the area. Usually that is food. Food offerings is what they generally want. Or gold. Now, little people, I'm going to tell you a little bit. The little people from stories the Iroquois tell their children by Mabel Powell. No, what's that keep popping up for? All right. The Mimigawans in the Ojibwa myths also brings up a creature known as Mimigawans. Forget it. I ain't going to be able to say that second one. Forget it. Now, here's a picture of what it could be, which seems to be different from more common little people variations. The Mimigawasi, according to Basil H. Johnson, a Mimigawans is a little person without definite form, which is terrified of adult humans. However, it seems to have a soft spot for children, and will often approach in the guise of a child to any young person who seems upset, injured, scared, or lonely, and either protect them or keep them company until help arrives. If an adult sees one, they will often cower on the ground, screaming and crying hysterically before vanishing in a blink of an eye. They are also known as protectors of copper mines and were prayed to almost as patron saints of lost children. There's more specific and different form. The Mumigoswi is often simply described as a short, hairy man. Alright, now we're going to talk a little bit about types of little people and myths, okay? The Guhaki, Abadawa. Now, in African mythology, is it Izawa? The Brownies? No, I didn't care. Here's one. Christmas elves. That makes sense. The Chirkakanans. The Daisama Unda Jodai. Dokahabi. Domaviri. Duande. Now, here's a famous one. Dwarves. The Ibu Gogo. Igabiri, Elko, Elves, okay, we can go there. Fardaring, Theon, Gnomes, Goblins. I mean, we're familiar with goblins. Gremlins, we've heard that a lot about gremlins. We've even seen some movies about gremlins. Never feed them after 12 o'clock and don't get them wet. The Grokik, the Gutel, the Himichin, ain't no way I'm saying that word. Hob, Hobgoblin. Now, imp. Now, we've always associated imp with demonic things. The Roxtal, the Jinglot, Jitin, Kabatu. I ain't gonna say that one or that one. Kandep, Karzalikt, Knocker, Kijimu, Kobolds. Kobolds is a dog-like creature, but short, about 3 feet tall. The Kopakul, I can't say that one. Kamek, we mentioned leprechauns. Lutins, Mabil, nope. Mookie, Nibpook, I ain't gonna be able to say that one or that one. An orc. Now we've seen orcs in Lord of the Rings. Now we've seen pixies. They're very famous. We see a lot of women with pixies or fairies as tattoos on their body. The Polovik, that's a Slavic mythology. Pygmies from Greek mythology, also a term we use for short people in Amazon basin. The Kutwab, Redcap. I ain't heard that one before. I think that's another form for gnome, where you've seen pictures of gnomes wearing red caps. I think that's the version of what they're talking about there. Sprites, the Tatomona. Yep, nope. Can't say that one. Yumbos. And that's it, folks, because I can't pronounce the rest of them. You'll have to forgive me. All right, now, there's some books out there you can find stories related to little people, okay? The Hobbit, the Halfling, the Kinders, the Oompa Loompas. Who knows where Oompa Loompas come from? Do you know, Ed? Where do they come from? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that's right. The Chicho, don't move that. The Little Pins, that's from Gulliver's Travels. All right, who knows what's blue and wear white hats? You know, Ed? Smurfs. Yeah, they were former little people. Also, other little people literature. Now, here's some books I'm going to tell you about. The Borrowers by Mary Norton. The Littles by John Peterson. Here's one. The We Free Men by Terry Pratchett. If you've never read anything by Terry Pratchett, I highly recommend it. Awesome reads. He's a great author. The Gnome Trilogy by Terry Pratchett. The Spiderwick Chronicles by Holly Blake and Terry D. Trezville. Those are pretty good. I'm not even sure how to say this one. Rumpelstiltskin. And Talatos by Anne Rice. Highly recommend these reads. You know, they talk a little bit about the little people, how they interact with us, for good or bad. Now, like I say, in our lifetime, we've all had some form of little people influence us, whether through art, books, movies, tattoos, wives' tales. You know, something goes wrong. Sometimes older folks, older than I, would say a gremlin did it. Or, you know, we find it with the Girl Scouts, with the brownies, you know, because that's where they based the tradition from for helpers. Or we talk about the Lord of the Rings with the hobbits and the orcs and the goblins and the halflings in it. And if you ever read the Dragonlance series, you'll find the Kender in it. You know, in Harry Potter, you've got the little people in it, from dwarves to Dobby and the others. You know, and then the dwarfs. I mean, we find it in all sorts of our culture. So there's got to be some truth to these things of having actually existed. And if you got a story to tell, let me know and share it. And so I'm going to let you all go tonight and think, when you go to bed tonight, maybe leave out a little bit of sweet water or some honey, and just give thanks to that little spirit that might be running around your house, and do something nice for them so they don't break something or hide something from you when you need it. Yeah, because you never know. They might do something nice for you if you do something nice for them. So signing off from Pickens, South Carolina, this is Norman and his producer Ed. We wish you a good night from beyond the veil.